Hello everybody and welcome back to a top 5 video. My name is Joker and today, for the spirit of Halloween, we're going to be going over my top 5 films that I think you should watch not only during the month of October, but especially during Halloween. Now before I go into detail about a lot of these films, please be aware that there are several films in the series that I'm naming, so I'm only going with the first entry of each series. Therefore, you have a whole lot more movies to watch after you watch the ones I'm recommending. But let's kick this off with my number 5 spot. My number 5 spot is a film that maybe not a lot of people have heard of, but it's a found footage film called Grave Encounters. Since the huge success of the Blair Witch Project, several films have been released since then, copying the style of found footage films. My personal favorite of the group being Grave Encounters. A paranormal investigative TV show called Grave Encounters was doing very poorly as it had just begun, until they came across an area of an abandoned asylum, which turned out to be just the haunting that they were looking for. Or so they thought. The task was simple for the TV show that they had to put on. All they had to do was stay inside the asylum all night and report on what they saw, and in the morning, they'd be let out. However, morning never comes. Without giving too much away, it is a very fun, scary movie with great effects and a lot of jump scares. There is a sequel to Grave Encounters, however, if you do not watch the first one, you are going to be thoroughly confused while watching the second one. So if you plan on watching both films, I recommend that you watch the first one and really pay attention to what happens. Coming in at number 4, we have a cult classic, Friday the 13th. You cannot simply have a list of horror movies that are your favorites without adding one of the most historically iconic film franchises of all time. This film takes us to Camp Crystal Lake, where upon arrival we discover that a boy named Jason Voorhees had drowned in the lake during camp, and because of this incident, the camp was closed. 21 years later, and the camp is reopened. However, in an attempt to get it ready for the new generation of campers to come, all of the counselors mysteriously start being killed off one by one. This is a classic slasher film that have spawned so many sequels, some good, some bad, and some we didn't ask for. There is talks amongst the internet that a reboot of the series was going to be coming out soon, however this has been put on and off so many times that I honestly don't know if it's actually going to happen. However, if it does, I definitely will be going to see it. Coming in at number 3, we have a new arrival in the horror genre, The Conjuring. Back in 1979, a film was released known as the Amityville Horror, which gave viewers an introduction into the world of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now in 2013, director James Wan gives us a look into another case that the Warrens investigated, and let me tell you, he killed it. No pun intended. In The Conjuring, Ed and Lorraine Warren come across a farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island, where the residents, the Perrin family, have been experiencing paranormal occurrences. After discovering just how in danger the Perrin family is, Ed and Lorraine Warren step in to cleanse the house of the evil within. And this is one of the best horror films to come out recently, as it has already spawned a sequel and a number of spin-offs, and more on the way, all of which are worth checking out. Coming in at number 2, we have another iconic horror film, Halloween. Another iconic foundation in the horror genre, Halloween is a staple for must-watch films during the month of October, especially during Halloween night. Our antagonist, Michael Myers, was a problem child who at the age of 6 was sent to an institution after brutally murdering his 17-year-old sister, Judith. 15 years later, on Halloween night, Michael breaks out in the attempt to hunt down his younger sister, Laurie Strode, who was only an infant at the time of him being put into custody. This is yet again another classic slasher film that has spawned several sequels, with most of which having the same plotline, with the only difference being what mask to wear. Aside from the main sequels, there was a Rob Zombie reboot of the series, which gave us a film that is just brutally traumatizing in every way imaginable. However, the recent 2018 installment is a beautiful entry, bringing back the Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis. And I could go on about that movie for hours on end because it is just that good. However, I still have one more film to talk about, which is my number 1 pick. And my number 1 pick for movies that you should watch during the month of October goes to Scream. My all-time favorite horror film will undoubtedly always be Wes Craven's masterpiece, Scream. A movie that traumatized me for years as a child and has now become one of my obsessions. I'm pretty sure that's how serial killers are made. Anyway, this movie revolves around high school student Sydney Prescott, who's having a hard time dealing with her mother's death, which happened just a year before the events of this movie take place. As the anniversary of her mother's death draws closer and closer, her past starts coming back to haunt her as she starts finding clues, leading her to believe that she may have put the wrong man in jail and that the real culprit behind her mother's murder is still at large and has come back for her and anyone that gets in their way. Now, the sequels that followed were just as fantastic as the original film, although the 4th entry in the series seemed to be hit or miss for a lot of people. This is a perfect example of 90s horror, as the killer is known for using a phone to contact his next targets, constantly playing mind games with each character throughout the film. Scream also sparked an MTV spin-off series under the same title, but was completely separated from the main plot of the films, but the premise was still the same. The only real difference being is that they used a different mask. And with that, we wrap up my list of the top 5 films that you should watch during the month of October. Now, as always, I do realize that my list may not be the same as yours, so leave a comment down below with a list of your top 5 films that you think we should be watching during the month of October. Maybe our lists are the same, maybe they're completely different, or maybe you liked my list but you wanted to make a few changes along the way. Either way, leave a comment, I want to talk about it. But that'll be all for this video, guys. Remember, if you like what you saw, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see more top 5 videos or top 10 videos, or if you'd like to see anything else. But until then, and as always, stay loyal, stay spooky, and I will see you guys next time.